Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Two Moms and Some Labels. Two Moms and Some Labels is a podcast put together so that parents of special needs children or caregivers can come together to network and commune and gain ideas on how to persevere through challenging times. And so, with that being said, on this episode of Two Moms and Some Labels, um, we're talking about dating. Okay. This is an episode talking about dating. I touched on this a little bit on my TikTok. If you follow me on TikTok, and I am the mom of all trades on TikTok, but I talked about this on TikTok. And so the burning question was dating, even just being a typical parent can be difficult. It can be challenging. And especially when you add kids to the picture, then that just brings in a whole nother field of things that you have to deal with and go through and figure out when you have kids involved. So, what about when you have a child with special needs? How does that all work? Like, men, are you able to handle that? Is a man able to handle that? I mean, is a woman able to handle that?
Mhm.
Especially maybe if she doesn't have kids, or
Mhm.
it can be just hard. And if she has kids, and maybe she just has typical kids, it's a whole different ball game. And we don't
Mhm.
talk about this a lot. It's something we don't talk about. We're quick to
Yeah.
talk about how, oh, my man or my husband, he's not waking up for the kids, or he's not taking them to the park. But what about, okay, my man, he has to get the feedings ready, he has to get the medicine for the syringe ready, seizure medication, if they have a seizure, be able to handle that. I mean, it's all kinds. And they have a trach, can they suction and do all that stuff that comes with it? I mean, it's
Right.
just
It's a
a
lot.
whole, it's a lot.
It is. It definitely is a lot. And I think it's great. You guys can comment when it goes up to, give your opinions and stuff, and we'll respond. But it is a lot. It is definitely different. You know, both of our kids have different needs and stuff. But it's a lot just even finding the time to spend time with a person to be able to date, because you have to find a qualified, safe place for your child to be, or have someone come into your home to visit. And that's, I don't have nursing care. I don't think you have nursing care either, right?
No, I
Right.
don't.
So without
Mm-mm.
nursing care, which isn't even guaranteed, you're pretty much stuck on your own. My mom is the only person that I feel safely leaving my son with. Um, and I don't want to be the person that just drops my kid off with grandma every time. So I'm very, mindful of how much she watches him, because she does keep him after school for me. So I'm mindful about that. But then when I date, is someone going to be able to understand I might not have as much time to give you because I don't have childcare. And then you're in a relationship, so dating is just as
Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah. And it was so funny
Time.
because I had saw this post on Instagram or one of the social media outlets, and it was saying like, women, you should not be spending more time with your girlfriends than you do with your man. And I'm just like, well, if they look at it at one side, they don't know, they don't think about all these other things and what somebody's situation may be. Because I'm like, well, I think I might spend more time hanging out with my girlfriends because we don't have a babysitter to watch the
So
kids,
you
so
alternate,
he
yeah.
has to watch them, yeah, or we take
Hmm.
turns. So yeah, more time might be spent hanging with our friends than being able to spend with each other.
Yeah, I think people also have to remember we're still human. we still, even though we carry the nurse, the mom, the therapist role, all our teachers, we carry all that, but we're still, at the end of the day, we're still women. We want to get dressed up. We want to go out. We want to brunch. We want to, we see all these fun activities that's going on, especially with social media. It's right in your face. And you're like, I want to do that. I want to do
Right.
that.
Yeah.
My friends know, like they keep me because I did tell them to keep me in the invite list, because there was a point where they were like, oh, she's always going to say no. I said, you never know when I might say yes, so keep me in the invite list. I might say yes, to that. Is it rare? Yes. But I do, like, I might honestly, like, go out maybe
Right.
2 times a year, if that, since my son has been born, maybe twice a year. And I'm talking maybe like a late night Jags game or like a little lounge, and that's it.
Yeah, and then even still, it's like, okay, if these are your like real friends and they know your circumstances, then why would they be wanting to count you out on the list?
Mm-hmm.
They know that you don't have somebody to watch your child all the
Mm-hmm.
time, so why would you count out your friend on being able to
And I think some
do
people
things?
don't understand the whole thing of watching your child.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think people are like, especially when they're around, they're like, oh, well, I've been around him and he's good for, so long. You should be able to. And I'm like, yeah, but anything can happen. And I
Mhm.
need whoever has them to be able to properly handle what's going on. Because then you guys are going to see me on the news and you're going to be like, why would she leave her child with that person
Yeah.
if they're not trained? So I'm like,
Mhm.
you can't just leave your child with anyone. I mean, half the times you can't even leave your
Yes.
children with the nurse that is hired and a professional
Mhm.
to take care of. You got to
Yep.
have cameras all over to make sure, because that person's not going to love on your child all the time like you do. So, it's just a
Mhm.
hard thing. I tried dating, and this was like maybe 2 years ago. And oh my God, when I say it was such a challenge, it was such a challenge because the person I was dating just did not understand. Like,
Yeah.
they would call me like, hey, let's grab something to eat. Hey, let's go do this. Hey. And I'm like, ugh, I wish I had that freedom. He was a very nice guy, and I wish
Yeah.
I did have that freedom to up and go. And I would always tell him, well, I have a little child. And he would be like, oh, well, I mean, he was offering to pay for baby. I mean, just every
Oh,
golden.
wow.
Yes, he was just like, I'll pay for a
Yeah.
babysitter, da da da. And I was like, yeah, but my mom is going to get burnt out. And he was like, someone else.
Mhm.
And I'm like, no, you really don't understand. No.
Yeah. And I even look at this because I joined a couple Facebook groups to hopefully find a caregiver,
Oh, okay.
long term and stuff like that. And on these groups, I'm just like, people are like, is somebody available tonight? Is somebody available tomorrow? And I'm just like, how can you even feel comfortable leaving your child with somebody that you just met just because they have certifications or licenses or whatever, and you haven't even met them? You don't know them
Mm-hmm.
from wherever. How can you just feel comfortable to have somebody come to your house or you bring your child to them and you just met them? I'm like,
Right.
no. Okay, even with
Right.
with the typical child, with my child with special needs is different, because it's like, if my child is screaming, are you going to be able to handle that? When they're yelling for hours, are you going to be able to handle that? If they accidentally hit
Correct.
you because of reflexes, are you going to be able to handle that?
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Like, I tell people all the time, Lorenzo's good. Well, I won't even say good. I can manage him. So I know his triggers. I know what's going to send him over the edge. But if I bring him in a complete stranger and he has one of his serious meltdowns, that it can sometimes take an hour to bring him back to, oh, okay, we're good. You're right. Is somebody going to be able to deal with that? You see all these horror stories on the news, it only takes someone like that to snap and your child is gone. And then I think also, you know, I mean, both of our kids are still in diapers and stuff.
Right.
So we're trusting someone to, handle all of that. We're trusting someone to feed. Both of our kids are nonverbal. So we're trusting someone to come in and not just check off everything on the list, but actually do it. Yeah, we can come in and count the diapers to see if they've been changed. We can come and see if food has been given or anything, but we're trusting that you weren't lazy and just poured the food down the sink. We're trusting that you didn't just throw away the diapers. And even if we do count the diapers and say, oh, okay, looks like our baby hasn't been changed, it's too late. Our baby has already, had to go through that. And it's just not a good feel. But you bring up something really good too. Being able to manage our kids' different moods and their ups and downs, a job in itself.
Yes, because I know, excuse me, as a parent, as a parent of a child with special needs, sometimes I'm just like, oh my gosh, I wish that you would stop yelling. I wish you would stop crying. Oh my goodness, like I need a break. So imagine somebody coming in that has not had to deal with that. What their reactions may be and how they would handle that. It's like, because I feel like it's like a whole nother level when our kids have their moves and things like that. Like it's a whole nother level.
And it's not just like how, a typical kid, they might have a tantrum or something because you tell them no. Our kid can just burst out and have a different mood and you're like, wait a minute, okay, what's going on? And sometimes they just have to get it out. And, can someone handle that? And then like I'll have people say, well, bring your baby with us. Bring him. And I'm like, right. I'm like, we've tried to bring him to restaurants and stuff. He's doing better, but he's fully occupied on an iPad, phone, or something because I have to break down to people, my child doesn't eat. So while we're sitting there enjoying, eating, and everything like that, those maybe hour and a half, 2 hours is a very long time asking someone whose food isn't coming to him. He's just sitting there. That's a long time to just have someone sit there, So it's different things that I also have to do with him to, have fun. And it's just like you want to be able to meet someone that fully understands that. And then even if your partner dates, my biggest thing is, okay, we're both going to date, but is your new person going to fully understand? Because God forbid, if anything happens to me, this is the person that you are saying is going to step in and be mom. And are they truly going to happen, be able to handle it? Like I tell anyone, especially women that date men, I say, he doesn't see his kids or whatever the drama is. Are you fully ready if that mom gets, hit by a car tomorrow and her life changes? Are you ready to take in 2-3 kids and financially, emotionally, and mentally? And I think that's too what's so important when dating with kids. Like we as adults, we just date and it's fun. We're just da da da. But when you're dating someone with kids, you have to think about that future of that what if, not to be a negative Nancy, but you never know how life changes can happen. And you have to fully accept, just because you might see this person's kids on the weekends and stuff. Now, are you fully ready to take on that day-to-day responsibility 365 days of the year?
Right. And then even just going back to the like the restaurant thing, and our kids are basically just sitting there, and that's asking a lot of them to sit patiently, quietly while we're trying to enjoy a time out. Like I give my daughter, I put on my phone and she's fine with that, but I was just telling her ABA therapist, I was like, we went to dinner as a family for the first time in like 5 years.
Wow. With
And
everyone?
with everybody,
Wow.
yes. Yeah. And I was like, the last time we went was when it might have been even longer than that, because
Mm,
I think she was maybe like 3 or 4, and she's 13 now. So actually, yeah, it was
wow.
longer than that. Like, we hadn't been able to go out and eat because she would just scream and yell as soon as she would get there, because all the noise, or sometimes they would play music when when you go into
Hmm.
restaurants, and she does not like certain music. So I can't tell the restaurant, like, hey, can you change to this song, because she doesn't like what y'all are playing.
Right.
So, I'm like, it was very hard. And with ABA, like, we have been able to just slowly start doing things,
Oh, that's good.
yeah, with her. And even just if a boyfriend or girlfriend is asking you, yeah, just bring your kid. Okay, well, if I have a wheelchair, is it wheelchair accessible? Did you look into that yet? Okay, is there a place for us to park? Is the ground smooth where her chair can even roll over the stuff, or is it like gravel? Like, we need to know all these things. Where am I
Right.
going to keep her food at and keep it cold? Are we going to be out for however many hours? Where am I going to, is there a place for me to change her at? Is it far from somewhere where I can go and change her? Like, these are so many things that we have to think about as the parents. And
Correct.
it's asking that other person, are you able to start putting on this hat and thinking about all these things when you're deciding to date me? It's like, there's a lot of things on the table.
Or they'll be
And
like, well, they can play with the other kids. And I'm like, no, no. Nope. Definitely can't. Won't be
well,
doing
yeah,
that.
and my child probably can't see the other kids that
Right.
well
Like, it's a
either.
different thing.
So
And I have to trust, my child is nonverbal, and my child is not scared of strangers. So everyone is a good person in his eyes. So I still have to be careful. He puts a lot of stuff in his mouth that it could be choking hazard. Kids are very curious about his trach. That is his
mhm,
lifeline. That is not a toy. It's not something
yeah.
fun. That is truly what keeps his airway open. Without that, even being around water, I have to be very careful because he cannot go into like kid park with water and stuff. Because I mean that goes straight to his lungs, so that's
Yeah.
a drowning right then and there. So and then they'll be like, oh well, he can just such and such will watch him. I'm like, no, I'm not going to trust an 8-year-old watching my.
Right.
So it's just very challenging. And even though he's 5, Lorenzo has the mindset of maybe a 2 or 3-year-old. So you still
Yeah.
are guiding him with everything. He's not going to make full decisions on his own. Mommy still makes all the decisions for him. He doesn't know consequences. He doesn't understand right and wrong in every situation, especially life or death, dangerous situation.
Mhm.
So it's just, yeah, like people will be like, oh, they can come and relax and they can play. And I'm like, no, my kid's
Yeah.
not going to sit there and watch a movie. We can barely sit in
No,
for 30
exactly.
minutes. Um, it's just different things that we're not able to do.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
then some kids might have sensory aversions or different
mhm,
sensory needs. And what if they like don't like pets, or they're terrified of pets, and the person that you are talking to or dating or whatever, and they're like, I love dogs, or I have a dog, or I have a cat, and you're just like, my child is terrified, like I cannot bring them around any of a cat, or I can't bring them around a dog. Then what is that? Is that a deal breaker then? Or is that person going to be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to get rid of my dog that I've had for 5
right.
years because your child is terrified of dogs, or they have a sensory aversion to pets.
Or the best
So
thing is when they're like, oh, well, we can go get ice cream. And, that might sound great to a mom with a 5-year-old. She's like, oh, wow. And I'm like, no, that's not, he's going to look at you and just scream, now, now, now. Like, food is one of his, So that's not, that might be a plus for somebody else, but that's just like a scary thing. He's not going to eat it. And then you're looking like, well, why won't, every kid loves ice cream. Why won't he eat it? And I'm like, all right, we got to talk to you about some sensory things. This is not, he has a food aversion. He's not eating, chocolate pudding. You can bring that over and that's all he will eat, So it's definitely a learning thing. And, like you said, do you understand the hospital stays? Do you understand everything that goes into, us keeping our kids safe from germs? Understanding that when you go hang with the fellas or your friends, that you have to come back we got to make sure you're germ free, not being exposed to different things. It's because one little germ for our kiddos, it could be like a week stay in a hospital if we're not careful. So it's just really being mindful of those things and letting someone know those type of things. And I do see, on TikTok, I see the fairy tales where you'll see some special needs families, they will meet someone that comes in and they're just fully in
hands-on.
Like with the child. And that's great. That's great. But I don't know so much. I hate to say it like this, but in our community, it's something, because we still have not been as open about special needs and what it looks like and what it takes. So our community, it's something, I think our generation is getting a little bit more out, but not as much as other cultures.
Right. Yes. And that's why, because I feel like, other cultures, they are quicker to be okay with taking on the responsibility of a special needs child, or just even being exposed to a special needs child and being out with them in public. Because like you said, in our community, we're just still not open, and we're quick, I feel like, to use the words like, man, you slow, or you retarded, or whatever, and say all that. But if you're going to date a person that has a child with special needs, like, is that going to change your mindset? Are your friends, are they okay with that? Are they not going to be talking about my child? Your family, like, how do they feel about that? Are they open to that? Are they understanding of a child with special needs and what that means? So it just like trickled down, because when you're dating that person, you're not just dating them. Eventually you're going to meet their family, and you will hope that they would be accepting also of your child and their needs and what they have. And like, I want somebody that is comfortable going out in public with my child, and they're not embarrassed or worried about what somebody's going to think or say. Like, that is very important. And I feel like us as a community, we care so much about what other people think about us, which is, why we go and buy all these designer clothes and things like that, because we want people to say good things or feel like we're this and that, and we're worried about being judged. So, it's just hard to think about that, and if that person is going to be able to handle that and be okay with, this is like, are you going to say, is this my child now after you date after so long? How, I don't even know how they would take that in.
And it's very because it's a lifelong thing when you bring someone around your child. And like you said, you are dating the family. So is the family going to look at it like, ooh, what happened?
Right.
How did this happen?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, what did she do? Because we don't have the information that, sometimes a lot of people, think when you see a special needs African-American child that the mom was on some type of drugs or something like that. You never automatically go to health issues, preeclampsia, incompetent cervix, just the placenta thing on the cervix. You don't think of any of those things. You automatically think, oh, well, what was she doing? She must have been doing this, that, and the other. We don't assume. So then the mom, and if that family is not accepting, they already have prejudged the mom to be like, ooh, did she change? Is she, and you're right. Then when you bring them over to this new family's house, do they have a safe place for your child?
Right.
Understanding, are they patient with your child and stuff like that? So it is very challenging. And I think just more information out there for our culture to have an understanding of, not a stigma against the mom. She didn't do anything. Nine times out of 10, she just has some other issues. And we know, we're talking about it more, a lot of stuff that women bring to their OBGYN or just any doctor in the medical. We know African-American women are expected to handle pain, handle things a little bit different. So changing all those stigmas and being okay with your child out there. We know a lot of special needs families in our culture, the child stays home, they stay with an older relative. And so when the parent does go out and date or do anything, that person is not exposed to the child because they're living with grandma or someone.
Right. Yep. And then even, going into like our culture as far as discipline, because I feel like our culture is harder on discipline of our children, and even just the way that some of us may talk to not only just talk to our children, but, believe in disciplining their child. And there's ways to go about disciplining, and are you going to feel like because my child is screaming and yelling that you're supposed to put your hands on my child, or, your family member will say something, like go off on my child, like they're supposed to understand? Are you going to be able to find an alternate way to go about being firm and disciplining without putting your hands on the child or screaming and yelling at them? So, because like I said, that when they start screaming, when my daughter starts screaming, like, you have got to have some tough, thick skin. Are you able to not want to go off or put your hands on my child?
Right. And that is a problem that I have actually experienced, where people have said, you need to get on him more. You need to get better control of him. And I'm like, no, I don't. Because let me tell you, I can tell him, like the school can let me know something's gone on. Let me tell you, the time I see Lorenzo, he's not even aware that he did that. He's not aware that that moment even took place. Even if you do it right then and there, it's other ways that we have to break through to our children. And those are things that, as you get involved with dating someone with a special needs child, you have to be open to changing your mindset and learning. And I really feel like that's hard with African-American males, because they want to talk to, and I know some women talk to their children very harsh as well. But I know I've heard certain, just family members talk to their boys like, what are you, slow or something? You can't be doing that. And I'm like, well, you can't talk to my baby like that. You know what I mean? We don't use that word slow. We don't use any of those type of words, because those have lifelong effects on your child. That's the impact word. That's a trigger word for me. We're not going to do that. Like you said, when they're out just talking, using the word retarded is like one of my cringes, and they'll be saying it like in a joking manner. And I'm like, we don't do that, because I have to tell people, like, if you're so comfortable saying that and you're around my child, just imagine what my child is going to experience, just being out there in the world. So it's very challenging, because you got to bring the child around the person's friends, their cousins, and it's a whole mindset change. Like, hey, we're gonna work on this. But that's the thing of dating a special needs, person with special needs children.
And then it's like, so when do you introduce your child with special needs to that person, or even talk about your child to them? It's been so long since I have dated, so I don't even know, like, when you would talk about a child, period, when you go on a date, just talking about your typical child. Do you like automatically say, I have a child, and they have, and tell them everything about your child on the first date? Like,
I
when?
usually break it down within those first couple, okay, we might exchange phone numbers. Within those first couple of text messages or phone conversations, I let them know. And most of the times they go running. Like, it's just like, don't want to talk to you anymore.
Oh my gosh.
And I think, like, I have had men send me messages saying, well, you're going to end up by yourself. Like, just horrible messages because my son comes first and I work full time. I own a business and my son requires 24-hour care. He still gets feed-ins at 12 midnight, 4 a.m. So when I get off work, I'm tired. I don't want to run and stuff. And then, the biggest thing is, well, let me come to the house. I'm like,
right. Oh, no.
Right. Well, let me, since you can't come out, let me come over. And I'm like,
and do what? Are you trying to help me get my child ready for the night? What are you trying to do? Because
and I don't want to expose my child to you. And so, like, I have messages where men have said, well, you're just going to be single. You make time for what you want to make time for.
And this is what I was talking about on that post. Like, you're supposed to put your man first. I'm sorry, but my child is life or death.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you will make it. You will survive. You will live. If I am not up underneath you, catering to you all the time, you will be okay. Are you trying to cater to me, or are you just trying to make me available to do things for you? Like, it needs to be 50-50. It needs to be equal, and you need to understand what the priority is here.
And I tell them all the time, I'm like, well, do you have kids? Yeah. I'm like, okay, so if your child's mother was running out with men to date 3 to 4 times a week, you would be bashing her. She never is with my kids. She's always leaving them here. But then you go out and date another woman with children and you expect her to just get, have all the time in the world. And I say that even when I'm dating someone with children, I have to understand their kids should be coming first before me. They should, if their child has a game, I should understand, well, you don't have to go to all those games. What about me? I thought we were going to dinner. No, because the same expectations I have for my child's father, their children's mother has that expectation for that man. Like, your kids should come first. And I think sometimes when we're dating in new situations, we forget that the other person has, if we're dating someone with kids, that they have responsibilities of children too. And the same thing you're requesting from your children's parent, other half, somebody else is requesting from that person. So you have to be, that's why I just say dating with kids is hard. And then once I break it down to them and explain, like, you would have a fit if your child's mother was out here at R&B bingo every Tuesday, if she's, at Whispers on Friday again, trying to meet someone. But all the places you're trying to pull me, your family would be bashing her.
Yeah. And besides, why are you at Whispers trying to meet somebody? I'm going to need you to step it up, okay?
Right?
Why are you at Whispers trying to meet somebody that is going to take you seriously? No, ma'am. No, sir. I don't think so.
And I have to tell people, like, you have to understand that this is just, it's when you're at a certain age with kids and stuff. And that's why I tell women, focus on yourself and focus on your kids. And the right person will come along.
Yeah.
When, I don't know. If I had that answer, I'd be a lot happier. But and I don't know, because these are some slim pickings out here.
Yes.
For the expectation.
And I always say, like, Jacksonville, I feel like it's just, it's not a good place for dating at all. Like, you need to go outside of the state.
Older.
Outside of the state.
I'm just like, the younger ones want you to club bop all the time. You know, well, I want to go here. I'm like, no, I'm ready to get in my bed.
Okay.
Like, I'm tired, you know.
Look, I have a 2-hour minimum. I need to be in bed by 10 o'clock.
Thank you.
I cannot.
Thank you. And I'm like, you know, I have just other focuses. And I just realized that, you know, before children, yeah, I was like, hey, I can go do this. Right. You know, that's fine.
Yeah.
But now it's totally different, especially dating with special needs, because I'm sure, you know, my son didn't have the needs that he has. You know, my best friend could watch him if I wanted to. But then I'm like, I love being a mom too. Like, I feel like I shouldn't be down for wanting to be a mom to my child. Right. Like, that's the title I have. I'm a mom, you know. And I know you'll hear many people say, well, you got to do this for your man. You got to do this and you have to do that. And then you'll see the post on social media. Oh, Tiny's daughter, she discussed it, the oldest daughter. She did a whole thing about like how it impacted her relationship with her mom when her mom started dating T.I. because so much time was with him. You know, it was just like she was dating, she was starting a new life. She started having kids with him. She started, you know, and even though we saw her, you know, happy throughout her childhood years growing up, it still had an impact on her, you know, so you have to find that balance. That's why I say co-parenting is so important, because each of you guys need to have that mental health time, that time to just get your mind right. So it's great to have that actual partner, even if you're not together, to say, hey, I'm going to get them on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and, you know, Fridays. So then you do have time to socially go meet, date, and stuff like that. Right. But a lot of special needs parents, I just see them at home. They're not going anywhere.
No. And, you know, with me even being in a relationship, like, we maybe go out once a month.
Wow.
Sometimes, you know, we can't even go out that many times because we just don't have a babysitter. And like we were talking about earlier, I'm not going to just call anybody to come and watch my child. Like, I need you to come for a couple times, maybe like a couple months or plus, before I'm going to be like, where I'm watching you those first couple months, and then I'll be like, okay, now I feel comfortable with you staying on, you know, on your own, watching my child while we go out for a couple hours.
Right. But, how you even said that, a couple of hours. It's not even like we can just leave at 3 and come back, you know, midnight and have like a evening, just fun, you know, all this, that, and the other. Like you said, even watching them for a couple of months, I'm still only going to trust you a couple of hours, because I don't know how you, even though I might see how you react, but then, you know, I'm watching you. So how do you really react when I'm not there to certain things? You know, you hear all these horror stories, and like I just had, you know, an issue with Lorenzo's school about communication, because when your child can't communicate, that takes it to a whole nother level. You know, you see some typical kids, they do have babysitters, and some of them might exaggerate the story, or you know, they go over to a family member's house and they might say, oh, so-and-so pinched me, or so-and-so da-da-da-da-da-da. And you might have did something where they didn't mean to pinch, whatever. Right. Our children can't do that. You know, our children, I have to look deep in Lorenzo's eyes and see how puffy they are, to see if he's been crying. I have to see, once I get him, is he real clingy to me? And then I can ask them like, hey, well, what happened? What's wrong? He's not going to tell me, you know? And then I have to depend on someone else to inform me of what happened. And that is like one of,
right, because they can make up anything. They can say anything. We don't
yes,
know what the truth is because there's no camera for us to be able to
correct. And
see
I can
what
put the
actually
air
happened.
tag on him, and that just only lets me know his whereabouts, but it doesn't
Yeah.
let me know
If
what is
somebody put their
taking place.
hands on them or yelled at them,
Hmm.
or like we wouldn't know.
Right. And then when you start dating, do you feel comfortable and get to that point of letting that person actually step in the role where you'll be like, okay, I'm going to run to the store.
Right.
You stay. It's like, you know, that's another thing with dating too. And I see it on TikTok. Like, there's this one family I follow. She has a special needs child, and then she has another child. And she met this man, and both of them are not his kids. She met this man, and like, I honestly thought those were his children because he's so involved. He like sits there and with the syringe measuring up the medicine. I'm just like, oh,
Wow.
that is so sweet to take on that responsibility and that not be your child. That's a
Right.
lot. That's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
It's
And
a
then even
challenge.
just us as parents, we're like, having a child with special needs has changed the path, the journey of our lives completely. And it was
Yeah.
not anything that we expected. It's not something that we're like, oh my gosh, I love being a mother or a parent of a child with special needs. It's not like that. It's hard. So just imagine somebody coming in that does not have to have a child or take care of a child with special needs coming in. Like, are they ready to take on this role? Because we were given this and put in this situation, and we have chosen to carry along and deal with what we have been given. But for somebody to come in and take on the responsibility when they don't have to, like, that is a whole nother ball game.
And some people will date and meet someone and be like, okay, this child is that old. I know maybe in 12 years
Right.
they'll be going to college and stuff. And like, are you really ready to have that conversation that my child probably gonna be living with me for a long time?
Yes.
Like, are you truly
Until I
ready for my 28-year-old big son to be in this house? So that's something as well. It's not there, even if there are some college courses, those still might be done at home. I don't know what our future totally holds, but if he has to live with me, he's going to be here. That is what it is. And someone has to understand that as well. Because, especially in our culture at 18, you're out of here. You're either going to college, military, or a job. Boom. You know who coming home, and are you ready for
Right.
that?
And they're like, if you living here, you're gonna be helping paying some bills or something. You're gonna be taking care of something. No, my child cannot pay any bills. They cannot help do anything. You're gonna have to do everything for them. So
exactly. And this is the life, the lifting, the carrying, the accessible house, everything like that comes along with, because I'm just, even what you see what goes on in these homes and stuff, I'm not ready to even think about placing him in a independent living or anything like that. I'm more thankful for, I just would like to be able to keep my bills and stuff situated to keep him at home with me. And I don't want someone to come in my life and bring home a bunch of pamphlets like, hey, I found this place because buddy, like,
yeah, I'm trying to put my child out. No.
Right. You can go before my child goes. So that's something too that, people have to think about when they're dating someone with special needs. 18 is not the adult cutoff. And they're not gonna go get a job at 16 to work at McDonald's or pay for their sneakers or extra stuff they think they shouldn't have. That's not the case. We will be the full caregivers. We will be financially, emotionally, mentally, physically, everything for them. So,
So, we just wanted to come and bring all this to the table, today, seeing how a man or a woman would be able to handle being in a relationship with someone that has a child with special needs. It already can be a little difficult when you are deciding to date someone that has a typical child. But as we discussed, having a child with special needs is a whole nother field of just being able to handle different things, and there's a lot that comes with it. So we want to know, are you able to handle that? If you are single, if you are looking to date someone, would you date someone that has a child with special needs?
and if you are
And
a
if
parent
so,
of a
how?
special needs child and you found someone, contact us because we want to know how that went.
Yeah, we want to know
We want to hear about it.
the story. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
give you some
Yes,
hope.
because we know that there are some success stories
Mhm.
out there. So, yeah, we would love to hear about your experiences with dating as a parent of a child with special needs. So, this will be on our Facebook page, on Spotify, and YouTube. So, you'll be able to comment on Facebook, comment on YouTube, and please let us know, chime in. We want to hear all about it.
Yes.
And, once again, we thank you guys so much for tuning
Thank
in
you.
to another episode of Two Moms and Some Labels. And we hope that you enjoyed this episode and it's giving you something to think about. Just let us know your thoughts. We want to hear. So until then, make sure you comment, and we will see you guys on the next episode of Two Moms and Some Labels. Thank you
Bye.
guys.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.